Good evening, everybody. This is Nicole Coveney, and I've had such a great week talking to so many lovely ladies. And my latest with me today is Meghan Pipal, and she is the Assistant Supervisor at Treeline Pass. And Megan, I believe you started within like the last couple of months, which is a great addition. And I will let you tell us more about you, but I just wanted to remind everybody, you've all heard me talk about Treeline Pass. It's a day program for adults with developmental disabilities, and it was actually started from a few parents from the Joshua School here in Denver for those really special kids that have transformed into adulthood and are trying to live very purposeful lives. So I'm here speaking with Megan today about her role at Treeline Pass. And if you want to watch every Treeline Pass interview that I've ever done, they actually have a YouTube page, and you can go through and get a lot of great information about what it's like to have a purposeful day program for adults with developmental disabilities. So my first question for you, Megan, hello, by the way.
Hello.
Is being at the Joshua School. So tell me how long you were at the Joshua School, and I want to hear how many basically people you graduated that you have started to see transition into adulthood, and what you've seen is the need for those awesome adults.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Nicole. So as you said, prior to working at Treeline, which I just started the beginning of the year of 2021, so I've been working for Treeline for just about 2 months now, and prior to joining the Treeline Pass team, I worked at the Joshua School for almost 5 years, 4 of which I was working in the transition program. So I was teaching individuals that were between the ages of 18 to 21. And a big part of that process was preparing my students for post-graduation life. So preparing them for the adult service world after they graduated at 21. So I did the math. Over those 4 years, graduated 7 students and worked with several others. And then of those 7 students, during that process of graduation and leading up to the graduation, we would observe adult day programs throughout the state of Colorado and just try to prepare my students for a program that would just best fit their needs. And I can speak more to that too at some point. But when looking at those 7 students that I graduated, 3 of the 7 have actually been kicked out of adult programs throughout the state of Colorado, different programs. 2 are currently still searching and have had a really difficult time finding a meaningful program for them. And the 2 that have successfully found a program are currently attending Treeline right now. So it's been really neat to be able to kind of full circle, meet back up with some of the students that I graduated a few years back, and also provide some really hopeful and meaningful opportunities for some of those former students that graduated that aren't currently attending Treeline. So,
well, and I think as for anybody who's never been in this situation or been around these adults, one of the reasons or some of the reasons that they would be kicked out of a day program is because they just have really big behaviors, and it can be very difficult to manage sometimes. So as opposed to a day program that is basically, I mean, for lack of a better term, a daycare, you guys are carrying their education on, because the unfortunate thing from my understanding is that you've got your entire school career and you have structure, and then the minute they graduate at age 21, they're done and there's nothing for them to do. Most people go to college, most people go to a vocational school, or they go into the workforce, and it's not easy for them to do that. So what you guys are doing at Treeline Pass is helping prepare them to, whether it be to volunteer or to get a job or anything like that, you guys are preparing them for that.
yeah, absolutely. And I think the reality of adult services in Colorado is still relatively new for me. I think graduating those students, I think early on, I didn't really really know what the adult world looked like, and was actually really excited for my students to graduate and go into their adult worlds and be more independent and have access to the things that you and I have access to, like working and continuing to learn. And it was very quickly in that process. Even with the first 2 students I graduated, the first year I worked in the transition program, that reality kind of just came crashing down very hard. It was very heartbreaking, observing some of the programs throughout the state of Colorado. And exactly like you said, the difficulty with some of the students that I've worked with is that these programs are not necessarily set up to provide the support that my students need behaviorally. And it can look often more like what we refer to as the adult babysitting, just kind of passing the time with clients versus providing opportunities for adults with developmental disabilities to grow and learn, because we all should have that opportunity. So that's where Treeline is very unique, I would say.
Awesome. And so can you tell me a little bit about your education and how you started working with adults with developmental disabilities and kids, because you were at the Joshua School. So tell me what your background is before the Joshua School and how this all came about for you.
Yeah, so I actually early on really thought I had a stronger passion for working with younger kids. I initially got my degree in elementary education, and my passion for this field first started, I would say, back in high school. I volunteered with just former students in my high school that had disabilities. And so I went and got my undergrad in elementary and was really wanting to work with the younger students, and then went and got my master's in special education. And my first teaching position was in a high school classroom in one of the suburbs of Chicago. So I started working with just a little bit older clients, and that was really my first experience with that outside of like elementary. And then I moved to Colorado in 2016, I believe, and found the Joshua School pretty quickly upon moving here, and was just really excited to take any opening that they had. And once again, got put into a high school classroom. And it was the first time I had experience with a transition program. So I knew the transition program existed at the Joshua School. I wasn't in it yet, but at that time in my first year living out here, I looked at that program and I looked at those, adults 18 to 21, and just fell in love with it. Like very quickly was like, wow, there's something really special about working with these students who really are preparing for a huge transition in their life and understanding the urgency of that. And I was really drawn to that very quickly, which surprised me because my earlier passions were with younger kids. And so a job opening opened up in the transition program, and I applied and was lucky enough to get it and started working with transition students. And then I think it kind of morphed from there into, like I said, that first student of mine, the first 2 students that I graduated, was my first experience with the actual adult world outside of the school services. So when I went through that process of observing those programs, my passion still really laid in transition, and I still have such a huge heart for working with the 18 to 21-year-olds. But as I started to learn more about the adult world, it kind of started to morph again. I started to see a really great need for adult services in the adult world. And so I stayed in transition. I stayed there for 4 years. I learned a lot. I'm very lucky to have worked with all the students that I did. And this is just such a great now like stepping stone for me to be able to now go from the transition program and into the adult service world, and to follow some of my former students as well.
Yeah, that's got to be really cool because you do get attached, I'm sure, to your students. I am not a teacher, and I got to tell you, I don't think I could ever be a teacher, but some of your students I have been around, and I've been around Cole a lot, and I've been around some of the other Treeline Pass attendees, and I have to say, or I should say clients, they're not attendees, but I've been around them, and I can understand how you would get attached to them. And I adore Cole, and I just love being around him. He makes me so happy when I see him. So, and I've seen you with the clients as well, and you and Michael, the program director, are just amazing with them. So it's awesome that you guys have been able to take your experience from the Joshua School and have somewhere for them to go. And I actually, I got to see the video of when you told Cole you were coming to Treeline Pass, and he was so excited. And it's just got to be so great for the clients of Treeline Pass when they have known you, because you're a familiar face to them. And I think that consistency is really important for a lot of them.
Absolutely. And I think too, like, I look back and I think I've had a lot of really discouraging moments over the years with those students I've talked about, whether it was placement not working out or still not being able to find placement. And looking at Treeline and just the 2 months that I've been so thankful to work here, that these former students of mine, Treeline really is allowing them the opportunity to learn and to grow, and to be able to see that growth in, I mean, 3 of the 4 current clients I've worked with in the past. And yeah, they've just made such amazing strides in their lives already, and some of them in just the short time that they've been in the program. And it has been like, it's just provided me with so much more hope and excitement. And I think to feel that way after years of feeling really discouraged and feeling just almost dreading graduation for some of my students, to now look at our program and be like, there is a place for these individuals to come and feel valued and dignified, and to do exactly what I'm saying, to learn, to have goals that are meaningful for them that they can achieve.
Well, and some of the students actually have projects lined up, and they'll continue on with Treeline Pass for a while. But I think one of the students has a job lined up after this whole COVID business is over. He has a job lined up at the Denver Zoo, and just some really cool things that probably would not have happened if they didn't have this education from you guys. So, I mean, basically, they're getting to go to college, and you guys are kind of their college, and that's great because they do get to have that attention and get to experience what others are getting to experience.
Yeah, and you look at, like, I look at myself and I find so much purpose in what I do. And so when we think about our clients, it's the same exact thing. They should, be able to pursue something that they are good at and pursue something that they enjoy doing. And so exactly what you're saying, we have multiple vocational opportunities lined up for all of our clients. And for most of them, not just one, there's more than one, and we want to continue exploring and strengthening their skill sets in the jobs that we do line up, because that's where they're going to feel like they're able to give back and provide to society, and yeah, that changes everything. So I think everybody should have the opportunity to do that.
Yep. Well, and I can see on your face how excited you are for them. Like, you truly have a love for the clients, and that's admirable that you adore them so much. And I totally see how you can adore them as much as you do. So that's awesome. And I hope if any of you have any questions about Treeline Pass, you will either visit their website at treelinepass.org, or you can visit them on Facebook. You can visit them on Instagram. And I know any of the powers that be would love to answer your questions about Treeline Pass. So Megan, thank you so much for chatting with me. I truly appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys and seeing all the cool things you have going on soon.
But thanks, Nicole.
Thanks.